Hi, and welcome to Pet Pals. Every week we take a look at animals that are looking for forever homes at the Frederick County Division of Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. I'm Linda Shea. With me today is Sean Snyder, our volunteer coordinator. He's going to be our animal wrangler for today. And the first little dog we're going to take a look at is Pumbaa. Pumbaa came to the shelter as a stray, was found in Frederick City. So if anybody is missing this little boxer mix, he's about 8 to 10 months old. Some citizens found him and they had him for a couple of days but couldn't keep him, and the right thing to do if you do find a stray animal is to bring them to the shelter. You just never know if their owners have been out looking for them, if the owners have endured something that they kind of lost track of their animal. So if you bring them to us, we're kind of the central stop for stray animals in Frederick County, and we are the only shelter. But Pumbaa is about 8 to 10 months old, boxer mix. We do have him designated for older children and adult home only. He's very busy, he's very bouncy, very mouthy, doesn't have a lot of tolerance for younger children, so that's why we have him designated as that. He's about 42 pounds. We have brought him up to speed on all the vaccines he needs at the moment, including rabies. And his adoption fee, because he's a puppy, will be $150, and that covers getting him neutered, microchipped, and all the medical care that we're going to give him prior to leaving here. So if you have time and resources and patience and a good lap, this would make a good dog for you. So this little guy, believe it or not, is 7 years old. This is Wisp. He's a smooth-coated fox terrier, and he was brought to the shelter middle part of June and turned in by his owners. They just didn't have time for him, and as you can tell, I'm sure even with the camera, he is busy, he is active, he is looking for something to do. He's just very, very busy. So his owners turned him in. They just couldn't keep up with that any longer. He's only about 18.5 pounds. We brought him up to speed on all the vaccines he needs. He's already neutered. And if you were to introduce this type of dog into your family, you want to know that he's not shy about hunting. He has, I guess, an affinity for going out and finding small critters and then bringing them back to his owners. So that's something, if you have small animals in your home, this probably would not be a good choice for you unless you have gerbils and hamsters and things secured somewhere in the house away from the dog entirely. I would never even attempt an introduction just because of the nature of the breed. Fox terriers are a terrier family, so you just need to keep that in mind. But again, his energy level is what needs to be kind of worked out. So if you've got either if you run or if you have an exercise that he could participate in, a lot of when you have dogs like this that are so busy and so active, you want to make sure that you offer them an outlet, because if you don't offer them a healthy, productive outlet, they're going to find something to do with that energy, and it may include tearing up furniture, tearing up carpeting, or doing things that are undesirable in your home. So again, he's very, very affectionate. He's very smart. We've behavior assessed all of our dogs on the adoption floor, and he is he's very interested in other dogs. We've not had him housed with another dog. From what I understand, he came from a family that did have other dogs. So, and he was also around children. So if you're interested in this breed, we've got a whole bunch of information on the breed itself in general. I suggest that you come in and read it, do some research prior to coming to the shelter, and then if you're interested, come and visit with Wisp. So again, this is Wisp. He's our 7-year-old smooth-coated fox terrier. This little girl is Bella. If Bella looks familiar, it's because she's been here once before. We adopted her out, and then a couple of days later, the family that adopted her chose to bring her back. The situation was, from what I understand, they were walking Bella in the neighborhood, and she introduced herself to another dog a couple of days after she left here. And initially, things went well, and then I guess the introduction escalated to something that the adopters were not comfortable with, so they brought her back. But Bella is about 4 years old. She's about 60 pounds, so she is solid muscle. She's already spayed. She's vaccinated, current on all vaccines, including rabies. She's microchipped, and her adoption fee as an adult dog is $92.50. And the reason that Bella ended up here the first time is that her first family, someone in the family had a baby and nobody had time for her. So anytime you introduce an animal into your family, you need to recognize that there is a commitment that you need to make to that animal for their whole entire lives. We all understand that family situations change, that life situations change, that things happen. But when you take on a pet, you really want to make every effort you can to keep that animal. And a lot of times when people have human babies, sure, there's an absolute disruption in your life. There's a disruption in schedule, that you may not feel that the dog gets enough attention, and that's where it comes time to kind of employ some creativity, solicit friends, family, and certainly call the shelter if you want any tips or tricks on kind of how to make it work, because that's what we're here for. When we adopt animals, we work towards making the adoption work, as opposed to, if it doesn't work, this is what you can do. So Bella is a very good girl. She is, again, she's been behavior assessed. And sometimes big dogs like her, she's, again, 60 pounds, can be a little intimidating when you're introducing them to other dogs. But dogs have body language and vocalizations all their own, so you just need to be aware of those. But again, this is Bella. She is looking for a forever home. All right, so this shy little guy is Thor. He's about 1.5 years old, and when I first saw him, I see yellow lab, but now looking at his paperwork, we've got down Rottweiler German Shepherd mix. So apparently the previous owners know more about this dog than I do. So Thor is about 71 pounds, and at 18 months old, he's just about reaching his peak as far as growing. So he's probably going to top off at maybe 75 pounds. A little on the thin side, but he is a juvenile, so to speak. So we brought him up to speed on vaccines, on deworming, and that is standard with any animal that comes to us. Animals are vaccinated upon entry if it's safe to do that. And with dogs, we do a distemper combination, and we also do a kennel cough preventative, in addition to internal deworming and flea and tick prevention. So Thor has been behavior assessed. He is color-coded orange. We've got 3 color codes that we apply to our animals, the dogs, cats, and bunnies in the shelter. And orange is kind of middle of the road. He's comfortable with people. He seems fairly confident. He's just a little unsure this morning about what's going on, and maybe a little bit camera shy. But he's young, so and he would need somebody who's got some sort of a plan in mind. He needs some building of his confidence. He has, I guess he lived with 6 other dogs, and he was acquired, I guess, from a family member. Spent most of his time, I guess, in a fenced yard. So Thor needs somebody with patience, somebody that can see that diamond in the rough and kind of work with some of the behavior. It seems like he walks well on a leash, and again, he's about 71 pounds, so you want to keep that in mind when you're thinking about introducing him to your family. But again, 18 months old, very young, and still has a lot of potential. So this is Thor looking for a forever home. So the last dog we're going to take a look at is Maxwell. He is an English Springer Spaniel. He's about 4 years old and about 50 pounds, has really good manners. I'm not that familiar with the breed, but just from what I see as far as just a dog in general, he is social, he's well-mannered, he walks nicely on a leash, and he's certainly very attentive to people, which is all good. We have gone ahead and vaccinated him, brought him up to speed on anything he needs. We've also, looks like his previous owners had tested him for heartworm, Lyme, Ehrlichia, Anaplasma, and those things are all negative, so they did the right thing as far as providing him appropriate veterinary care. Maxwell was turned in because of a divorce. The parties neither one could keep him, so he ended up here at the shelter. And again, we should be a last resort when you are relinquishing an animal. The first 8 days of this fiscal year, from July 1st through July 8th, we took in 129 animals, and Maxwell was one of those. So you just want to keep in mind that we should be a last resort and also a resource. But he's here now, so we're looking forward to placing him. He's a good dog. I would suggest, again, as with any purebreds, you want to do some research. Spaniels can be another active breed. So you want to make sure that your lifestyle can incorporate, at least an exercise routine. You want to make sure that you continue with the good manners that he already has and kind of just rewarding that. So at 4 years of age, he's actually ideal. He's not a young puppy that you need to train. He's not a senior dog that you might not have for very long or might have health issues. And overall, he's in really good health. So a lot of times we get the question, do you ever get in purebreds? And yes, we do. About 25% of the animals that we take in every year are purebred animals. They come with their AKC or CFA papers, so you just kind of have to be on the lookout. So if this is a breed that you've thought about, again, you want to do some research, you want to ask some questions, and again, Maxwell is again apparently very food motivated as well. So you might want to consider him for adoption. So we're going to go ahead and take a short break. When we come back, we will take a look at some of our feline friends that are looking for an adoptive family.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
The Frederick County Health Department's On the Mark Adolescent Clubhouse and Sober Activity Center is a safe, community-based clubhouse which provides a starting point or continuing care link for peers supporting one another through the process of recovery. Membership is free and open to youth from ages 12 to 17 who are in treatment for substance abuse or are struggling in this area or who have completed a related program. The clubhouse offers fun and sober games, homework help, skills building, and many other activities. Located in the health department at 350 Montague Lane in Frederick, Maryland, the clubhouse is open Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. To learn more, call 301-600-1126 or visit frederickcountymd.gov on the Mark. Please also like us on Facebook at On the Mark Clubhouse.
Ever wonder whether something is recyclable or not? Or maybe you forgot to set your cart out at the curb. Now there's an app for that. Download the free My Waste app for tablets and smartphones to have convenient access to a wide range of recycling and disposal information. Be notified of upcoming events, see your recycling schedule and set customized reminders, as well as instantly report curbside problems. Find out more at frederickcountymd.gov/mywaste.
Welcome back to Pet Pals. We have some really cute kittens that we're going to take a look at in this segment. First one up is Elfie. Elfie came to the shelter back in May of this year, and she was an underage kitten, so she was placed into foster care. We have about 50 foster care providers that work with us on a regular basis. Then we have an additional 25 or so that help us out just for emergency situations. So Elfie was in with one of our veteran foster care providers, and now she is about 12 weeks of age. She's a domestic medium hair. She's got the gorgeous tufts, and she's got that gorgeous kind of a steel gray color to her. One of the best things you can do if you're thinking about adopting a cat or kitten is to actually come to the shelter, because even though we have them on social media and we put them on Pet Pals, there's nothing like seeing an animal firsthand and kind of interacting to gauge if they're a good match for your family. So Elfie is only about 3 pounds. Kittens must be 3 pounds in order to be adopted from us. That just make sure that they're kept safe, because we spay and neuter all of our cats, kittens, dogs, puppies, and bunnies prior to leaving the shelter. And Elfie has been through the routine of getting the vaccines that she needs, the preventatives that she needs for intestinal parasites. The other thing that we do with all of our felines is we test them for 2 viruses that cats can carry, feline leukemia and feline immunodeficiency virus, and Elfie has tested negative for both of those. So if you're looking for a kitten, we have certainly plenty at the moment, and if you're looking for kittens that have been raised in families, you want to check out the ones that have come from foster care, just like Elfie. This little guy is Lucas. He is another example of one of the cute kittens that we have on our adoption floor. He's also about 3 months old. He's also a domestic medium hair. And he's a little bit larger than Elfie. He's almost 4 pounds, so a little bit on the larger side. Very affectionate, very sweet. I was watching a TV show the other day, and a lot of rescues adopt out kittens in pairs, and we certainly recommend that if you're able to do that. Kittens especially, they're still learning social skills. They're certainly still learning bite inhibition, so it is helpful if you adopt 2 kittens at the same time, or if you already have a cat in your family and you can introduce them so they can be friends. At the very least, they keep each other company during the day, and you don't have to worry as much about damage if the kittens or cats have each other. So Lucas, as you can see, is very active, and as I was explaining earlier, we do color code. So Lucas is color-coded green. He's very busy, very active, but still very sweet and social. So if you're interested in a medium or long-haired cat, you do want to make sure that you know how to drive a brush or a comb, and certainly we can help you out with some tips or tricks on how to keep that coat shiny and mat-free. So again, this is Lucas. Came to us at the end of June, our little domestic medium hair, available for adoption. This little cutie is named Slate. He is also about 3 months of age. So if you see a pattern here, what happens is kittens tend to come in underage during April and May, and then by the time June, July rolls around, they are 3 pounds if they've been in foster care and they come back to the shelter. So sometimes folks come in the spring and they're very discouraged. They don't see any kittens on our adoption floor. So we always encourage them that if they just come back June, July, August, there'll be plenty to pick from, and that's what the case is now. So Slate is just one of many kittens on the adoption floor. He is a gorgeous sort of a solid gray, but he's got some tabby stripes, very subtle on his legs, and then he's got a couple of little white toes in the back. So again, the best thing you can do if you're thinking about adopting a kitten or thinking about adopting 2 kittens, you want to come in and interact, because even though they might look alike, they might have the same fur color, every cat is unique, every animal is unique, and their personalities are certainly unique. So Slate, again, is very easy to handle. He seems like he's a little busy, so if you've got toys in your home, or if you have young children, might be a good playmate. But again, if you're a parent, you want to make sure that you supervise all interaction between pets and children. Sometimes kids can get just over enthusiastic with tails and ears and chasing, and that can cause a reaction from the animal that you weren't quite expecting. So again, good parenting includes supervising pet and children interaction. But Slate is current on all vaccines, also has tested negative for feline leukemia and feline immunodeficiency virus. As we have kittens in our shelter, if they develop an upper respiratory infection, if we notice that they've got intestinal parasites, we also treat those things as well. And we provide a medical history for all that we encourage you to look at. So again, this little guy is Slate. You can see that he's certainly interested and has an enthusiasm for life. So if you would like that type of personality, you want to come in and visit him. So in case you wonder what happens to adult cats during kitten season, they are still here and they are still looking for homes. So Stevi came to us the end of June, smack dab in the middle of when we're getting bunches of kittens coming back. So we wanted to showcase him. He's about 16 pounds, so he's a big boy. He's about 5 years old. He has a birth date of February 2010. And he is color-coded blue. So while the kittens that we've looked at today, for the most part, have been color-coded green because they typically are very energetic, enthusiastic about life, and sometimes have no manners, Stevi is on the other end of the spectrum. He is fairly sedate, well-mannered, confident, social. So if you're looking for a lap cat, Stevi would be an excellent choice. He does need to slim down a little bit. Being overweight is no good for people. It's no good for animals either. So he's about 16 pounds now, probably, I don't know, about 13 pounds would be a better weight for him. And similar to people, if you're going to employ a weight management program for an animal, you want to do it over time, you want to do it slowly. And with cats, you can start off by just measuring their food. I think oftentimes people that have cats that offer them free choice or free feeding don't realize how much cats can go through. If they're grazing all day and you fill up the food bowl, you might actually be feeding them 2 cups of food and maybe they only need 1. So that's a conversation between you and your vet. That's a good way to start off, is just by measuring the dry food and offering some canned food as well. But Stevi is your basic domestic short-hair orange tabby. He is a return to shelter. He was adopted from us about 4 years ago, so when he was much younger, and then the family is moving. And the other comment that the family has made is that they just don't have enough time for him. And cats are fairly independent, which is different than being antisocial. And I think people confuse the two. Cats are very social creatures, but they are very independent, more so than dogs, in the fact that they can live indoors, they use a litter box, they can kind of make their own entertainment, and certainly if they have another cat, they can kind of snuggle and spend 17 hours a day sleeping. So that's one way that cats kind of outrank dogs as far as the neediness. But Stevi was turned in. His family didn't think they were spending enough time with him, but obviously over the past 4 years they've done a great job at keeping him social, keeping him healthy. He came in, we went ahead and caught him up on vaccines that were overdue. A lot of times people will adopt and don't realize that animals still need to see a vet at least once a year just for a nose-to-tail exam. But Stevi's here with us now, so if you're kind of shying away from the active kittens and you want a more sedate older cat, Stevi would be an excellent choice. The last little guy we're going to take a look at is Chubbs. He is, I think, a stunning domestic short hair. I definitely favor brown tabbies. So he's a little brown tabby with white. He's about 3.5 pounds, which also puts him somewhere at about 10, 11 weeks of age. And we've brought him up to speed on vaccines and so forth. He was brought to us, found as a stray originally. Seems like the people that had him had several other kittens, and a cat situation, they just kind of got out of control, not manageable, so they brought them here. So fortunately for Chubbs, he tested negative for leukemia, negative for feline immunodeficiency virus. He is in relatively good health, and whomever had him prior did a good job at socializing, and that's always an important factor. If you've got kittens in your world, you want to make sure, if you're considering bringing them to the shelter, one of the things we look at is how social they are, because folks that come in to adopt cats and kittens, they want kittens that they can handle without getting bit. We understand that bites and scratch happens, but you want to make sure that if you can, you socialize them, and oftentimes if you've got small children in your family, sometimes they're the best ones to kind of just hand them a kitten and have them carry it around. So, but Chubbs is with us now. He is, again, I think very striking. Just if you look at his colors up close and personal, he's pretty symmetrical in markings, even down to the little brown spots on his rear hocks. So, but very affectionate. If you walk into our adoption floor, he will certainly make his presence known to you by meowing or getting your attention by putting his paw out through the cage. So again, this is Chubbs. He's just one of many kittens that is available for adoption on our adoption floor this week. We want to thank you for joining us on Pet Pals today. We always appreciate the audience that we have, and we appreciate the opportunity to showcase just 10 of the many animals that are here at the shelter. Hope you have a great week, and we will see you guys next time on Pet Pals.